Ever since the launch of Modern Warfare 2019, everyone has kind of been curious or even obsessed in some people's case, like myself, with one particular thing revolving around the campaign and the overarching game. That is, of course, Ghost. Now, this curiosity began at the end of the single-player campaign, where Captain Price is talking about building a new Task Force 141, in which he talks about this.
There he is. Simon Riley.
There's no picture.
Never. Now the rest. That's neat to know. Unless we got a deal.
Now, Simon Riley is of course referring to Ghost, or Simon Ghost Riley back from Modern Warfare 2, and we talked about this at the time and also talked about the similarities between the backstory of Ghost and Alex from Modern Warfare 2019, discussing the possibility whether or not these two characters are actually the same character. Now, I'm not going to go too much in depth in this video about that. I have a whole separate video about it. I'll link it down in the description if you want to check it out, but that's not what this video is about, because there's a lot more confusion revolving around this. In fact, about 3 to 4 weeks ago, this got really turned on its head when there were some new images of Ghost within Modern Warfare. One was an Easter egg that you're seeing on screen here. Across several different maps across Modern Warfare, there were TV screens with static going on them. This was there since the beginning of the game. However, after this update, no longer was it just static. A face very similar to Ghost was appearing on these screens. And like I said, it was across several different maps, it was the exact same thing, and it was very clearly a teaser for what is to come for Ghost within Modern Warfare. And around the same time, there's a calling card found within the game called Old Friends, which very clearly shows off Ghost in game. Now, at this time, Ghost has not been added as a new operator or anything like that within Modern Warfare, and we're kind of left in the dark as to what is actually going on with this. However, things got a lot more confusing a couple of weeks ago when this was uploaded to Instagram. Hold the goddamn phone. What is going on here? So, first of all, what this video is it's like a marketing thing that the Call of Duty Instagram account put out to show off a little bit of backstory on Nikto, or Nikto. I don't know how to say his name properly. You guys always give me crap for it. But in this little bit of background, we can see a diagram, a blueprint of his mask. But if you look at the broken glass down in the bottom left, you can very clearly see a reflection of Ghost, or at the very least, the Ghost of Verdansk, which is apparently the new version of Ghost coming to Modern Warfare, the same version that we saw in the little teasers or Easter eggs on the TV screens. So this adds a big question to the mix. Why the hell is there an image of Ghost in promotional material for Nikto? I don't know how to say his name properly. We're just going to go with Nikto for the rest of the video. But anyway, why the hell is it there? It doesn't make any sense. Well, the obvious answer is somehow Ghost has to be somehow related to Nikto. The question is how? There's kind of two options. Number one, they're somehow related. Number two, Nikto is Ghost, which brings up a whole bunch of other questions. So let's start with that. So first of all, the first thing that would actually make sense here is that if you hop over to a Google Translator and translate Nikto in Russian to English, it actually translates to no one, which is kind of similar to a ghost. On top of that, if you really compare the mask that Ghost wears to Nikto's mask, there is definitely some similarities there. The fact that both Ghost and Nikto feel the need to hide their face because what has happened to them in the past is very similar between the two characters. Now, here's what doesn't match up. Now, we know from the past of Call of Duty and from that ending cutscene that we talked about before, Simon Riley is Ghost, a very, very English name, not Russian whatsoever. And as we know from Nikto, he is Russian. If we dive into his backstory, which we can see in-game, it tells us former FSB deep cover agent captured and tortured at the hands of Mr. Z. Face disfigured, diagnosed with acute dissociative disorder, remains a methodical, calculating soldier, reassigned to Spetsnaz to utilize skill set. So the big problem here is, from Nikto's background, he has been Russian for a very long time. He was a former FSB deep cover agent. And we know from previous Call of Duty games that Simon Riley as Ghost was not in the Spetsnaz, was not an FSB soldier. He was an SAS soldier and very, very English. So that doesn't quite match up. However, there is one saving grace. If you look at the description of Nikto here, his first language is unknown, which, yes, his citizenship is Russian, but not knowing his first language would kind of mean they don't know where he was originally from. And this is actually extremely supported by that same video that we saw on Instagram. It states that he speaks multiple different languages, that his birthplace is unknown, and that his origin is completely untraceable. So he could have been on some undercover mission in the FSB working for the SAS as Simon Riley when he was taken by Mr. Z and then formally became a part of the Spetsnaz and Russian. Again, a big stretch. I'm just throwing some things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Now, another thing that kind of supports Nikto being Ghost is the whole Ghost of Verdansk name. They didn't name him Simon Ghost Riley in the leaked promotional material. It's Ghost of Verdansk, which hence the Russian ghost kind of thing. So it's actually possible that instead of Ghost being a brand new operator, he's just gonna be a skin for Nikto, which would be very strange, and I think they'd lose a lot of money if they did that. So it's all very strange. Now, there are two other options. Option number one is that I am simply looking way too far into this, and that in this cutscene that they put up on Instagram, this is just a little bit of an Easter egg pointing us towards our next operator, which could potentially be the Ghost of Verdansk. But I highly doubt that. They very rarely put Easter eggs for just random reasons in things. Generally speaking, if they put something like this in there, they're somehow related. Now, option number two. Again, very far-fetched, but the Ghost of Verdansk is a completely different character than Simon Ghost Riley. Now, this would make a lot of sense. One is a Russian, one is English, one has a name of Simon Riley, one has a name of either Nikto or simply the Ghost of Verdansk. Again, I would find it very odd if they implemented two separate Ghost characters into the same series. That would be very strange, but it would explain their nationality differences. It would explain Simon Riley being the name, and it would also explain the Ghost of Verdansk kind of being Russian. Now, there is a third theory, and oh my god, is it a stretch, but I have to say it. First of all, to fully understand this theory, you have to watch my video talking about the theory that Alex is actually Simon Ghost Riley. Now, secondly, let me explain this theory. So, in this theory, we talked about how at the very end of the campaign, Alex is blown up in this building, possibly disfigured, but still alive. We also know through cutscenes from the campaign that Alex doesn't really want to work for the CIA anymore, so essentially he fakes his death and becomes a ghost. This is actually very similar to Simon Riley's story back from the comics before Modern Warfare 2. Now, putting that aside, if we combine this with the theory of Nikto, potentially, after this explosion at the end of the campaign, Alex or Ghost is captured by Mr. Z, already disfigured and held captive. Then Ghost or Alex or Simon pretends to be Russian, and then in turn becomes Nikto before he eventually becomes Ghost. This would explain his identity being indistinguishable. It would explain his birthplace being unknown. And it would explain why he knows multiple different languages. It is a stretch, a big stretch, but it is definitely possible. So at this point, we have a lot of information about Ghost, or the Ghost of Verdansk, but not a lot of it actually adds up. At this point, everything we pretty much talked about today is all theories. So I want to hear down in the comments what you guys think. Between the Easter egg, between the images of the Ghost of Verdansk, and between Simon Riley being teased at the end of the campaign, it's a mystery as to how this is actually going to tie in once he's introduced to the game. So for now, this is kind of where we are, until we get more teasers or until Ghost is actually added into the game. But you could better believe that once that actually happens, I will be bringing you guys the final verdict on Ghost. But for now, this is all we've got. So let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd much appreciate it if you hit that like button. And as always, if you're new to the channel, like what you see here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn notifications on. And until next time, guys, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're made